What is going on, guys? MMA Island team, we got the fight picks, and man, I am upset. Why am I upset? Because I don't, and this is I hate when people say like, oh, all women fights are boring, because I don't typically agree with that. I think they're a little bit more technical than the guys for whatever reason. But I do think that the women are a little bit more technical. And I think that I kind of like those sort of matchups. When Lauren Murphy and Cynthia Calvillo got matched up, I was like, wow, I am
Good
excited for
fight.
this one. Very, very, very good fight. Cynthia Calvillo tests positive for COVID-19. She's out of the fight. Make sure you guys are checking out headline.island to find out as soon as that sort of thing happens. But it happened. Unfortunate. Wishing her well. Hopefully she has a speedy recovery. And hey, out of nowhere, Liliya Shakirova, 8-1, fills in for this fight. I don't know, man. She comes from GFC. Have you ever heard of this girl before?
No, I didn't before the fight was announced, and then I saw she fought Gorilla, and I was like, okay, I'll do some tape
So
study.
hey, this is a pretty big step up, I guess you could say. Being 8-1,
Massive.
record very, very impressive. But man, you can't underestimate Lauren Murphy at all. I think she definitely lost to Andrea Lee, but
Yep.
man, the point is that I really think Lauren Murphy is a very technical striker, very good striker. Has been winning. She has been winning. Currently on a 3-fight winning streak. So I think Lauren Murphy being on a winning streak like that, a 9-1 Cynthia Calvillo against her, is a very, very good fight to make. So sucks that fight's not happening, and hopefully we see it, just because I think if Murphy's able to get through Shakirova, I think that's a good fight to rebook. I kind of wish that fight was rebooked rather than this fight getting a replacement, but we're here talking about it, so let's talk about it. So Lauren Murphy, as I mentioned, being a striker, primarily a striker, I think that's what she's going to be wanting to doing. Going to want to do in this fight. And then talking about Shakirova, 3 knockouts, 1 submission, 4 decisions. Last few fights recently, 2 out of 3 come via KO for her favor. So it's actually, weirdly enough, it's not the same person. It's just very similar names. So it's not. But man, I got to go with Murphy here. I just think, man, this is the thing. When you get a girl who's 8-1, a really impressive record like that, especially taking the fight on short notice, you're fighting a veteran in Lauren Murphy. You're getting a pretty good striker in Lauren Murphy. And again, as I mentioned, you're coming in on short notice against a veteran. And it doesn't look really good for Shakirova. I think that Shakirova shocking the world is a possibility, for sure. Just because, as we mentioned, there's a lot of potential there. 8-1, that's an amazing record. But as we know, I won't say it, but you know what I'm talking about. 13-4, Lauren Murphy, being such a good striker, I just think that she's going to kind of piece her up throughout the distance. Shakirova losing her last fight and only fight via decision 2 years ago, 4 fights ago. So I think that's a pretty good possibility. So for Murphy to win via decision, especially with her last 2 fights for Lauren Murphy coming via decision, maybe that power's gone. Who knows? But that technicality's still there. And so I think it's pretty likely that Lauren Murphy wins this fight via decision. I think it's a pretty good bet to make. It's a good parlay, something to throw in for a parlay. Why not? So yeah, I think this is a pretty good fight to make. And as I mentioned, man, I hope that Lauren Murphy's able to go throughout this fight and not really take any damage. And then, hey, maybe we can get this one on like UFC 256 or something. Because I was really, really excited to see this fight for UFC 254. But we don't get it. Cynthia Calvillo, as I mentioned, hopefully she gets better, and hopefully we get that fight, because that's a really, really good fight to make. I think it was perfect matchmaking. But hey, we get this fight. We talked about this fight. I talked about this fight at least, so that means I'm going to pass it on to Zach.
Yeah, this fight is pretty clear-cut for me, and I guess I'll use the lock of the night term here. Why not? Because, as you mentioned, this is one of the biggest step-ups I have seen in a while. This fight reminds me a lot of Zaruk Adeshev versus Tyson Nam. But you know what? I'll just give a little bit of analysis, because why not? We're here for it. Lauren Murphy has looked very good in her last fight against Roxanne Modafferi, but then did also lose to Andrea Lee. I don't know how anyone could score the fight for Lauren Murphy, but it doesn't matter. I mean, one of them was Joe Solis, the worst judge in MMA history, and a corrupt, just absolutely corrupt person. But again, we're not getting into that right now. Lauren Murphy, as we know, throws a lot of strikes with very good volume, but not the best accuracy, and her striking defense is excellent as well. 63% striking defense. Now, she has a negative strike differential, but is a .02 negative strike differential, which pretty much says every time she throws a shot, she takes one. But we know that her technicality is very solid, and she likes to mix up where the strikes go for the most part. And I don't know. Shakirova, from what I saw, she's also kind of a technical striker, but the things that I was seeing from her shows me that she's not on the level of Murphy yet. And Murphy has fought many fighters who are much, much better than Shakirova. This fight would never get made unless outside of these circumstances where they needed her to step in. Because again, this fight was supposed to be the number one contender fight. This is going to be Murphy versus Calvillo, and I would have favored Calvillo in this fight. But now that Calvillo is gone, you have to go with Murphy. I mean, she's pretty much better everywhere from what we know. She's fought much better competition, beaten much better competition. I don't know how you cannot pick Lauren Murphy with this one. So yeah, we're going Lauren Murphy.
So we got a unanimous decision on this one. Man, as we mentioned, terrible that we're not getting the Calvillo Murphy fight, but we get this one. So make sure you guys are just letting us know who you guys got in the comments. If you picked Shakirova, man, that's a good bet to make. So make sure you plead your case in the comments, but make sure you guys overall are liking the video, subscribing to the channel, and checking out the other fight pick videos.